there are signs to let you know deeper concerns. So
Okay.
once you have done all we have just discussed, you know you have done all these initiations, taste initiations, knowing when to feed them, knowing how to feed them, singing songs, and yet this child doesn't just seem to. I know of a person I know that the child is autistic. That child just doesn't take nothing. But there are some branded liquid products for children that are not powdered form. It's already made and it's nutritious. So that once you take that liquid, that child has taken as good as feeding. It just reminds me of enteral feeding and perinatal feeding, when one cannot use their GI tract for health conditions. They have to pass it through tubes and all those things. You know, it's already in fluid semi-solid. So that fluid is what the child will use to, at least, regardless, you will not fall short of your nutrients. So if you have done all these things and you see that this child is just unique on its own, and understand every child has their own needs, they may have special needs, then at this point you have to make this aware to your healthcare provider that, look, I've done this. Let them understand what you've done. Because an empowered mother, I always say this empowered mother, meaning somebody that is well informed and know how to, that person can successfully express her needs. Because, you know, women, there's something mothers say, mothers just know. That no, you can be able to communicate it because you are empowered by learning, education, read up, write up, empowered by, I had a first child, I made this error, I will not make it again a second time. So when I'm going for my pediatric visit, I'm intentional with the questions I ask. So you let the practitioner know, so that way you and her will meet each other's needs successfully, because you are the one going through it. But if you don't know how to express your needs in words, she cannot help, he or she, the practitioner, cannot help you meet that need. So it's when you provide all the things to the practitioner, well spoken, then they'll be able to meet your need, the betterment of that your child, and then you have to do as prescribed to help manage the care and the healthy development of that child.
Okay, thank you. You've actually answered the next question, which you have to try basically everything, and if all else fails, then obviously reach out.
Seek immediately.
You need to reach out. Okay. So having to introduce my kids to some soups, egusi soup, it took a while, of which they absolutely love it, but it took a while. I had to be given gradually. We had to eat it and give them tasters without making meal times turn into battle times. Because if you force a child, you could make the child actually hate that food eventually.
I like when you said you eat the food too. I like that statement because there's something about feeding naturally. Let's leave age group of younger children or infants, even you adults. If when we were grown up, in quotes, and you look at the food presented to your dad as per the household, the head of the home, and then you see your own plate of food in front of you, your eye will be inside that your father's plate. Because everything just looks right inside it.
True. Yeah.
So rewind to younger children. When you eat the same food, keep into mind that their system is immature and is still growing compared to you, adult, that you are doing maintenance. So if you say, I like my food spicy, sorry, don't touch out. So at this point, you will have to have your own separate pepper jar, spice jar separately, cooked and prepared for those that like it. I prefer it when it's cooked. If you sprinkle it, it's not the same. Okay, make your pasty, spicy jars in your glass jars and keep it aside so that the child can eat the same meal you are eating, just because you want them to know that this thing I'm eating, I'm enjoying, is what you are also eating. So you too will be patient and okay, make sure it's very soft. Not that everything is hard. No, their teeth is still very milk. Remember, I just shared the story of tooth fairy versus angels.
Yeah.
Their teeth is still not yet mature. You have to put that into mind when you are doing that, in your mind when you are feeding them. And then watch out for beans, for example. I know that kids don't really, for me personally, there's an interesting way I start cooking beans now. Why? Because of the outcome of how I was fed beans when I was young. I just didn't like the taste. They just made it the same bland, forget it. So me, I took it upon myself. I will do justice to this thing called legumes. It's part of the legumes. To cook it just appropriate, just the same way you will like a mac and cheese, you will like a fried rice, a fried chicken. That's how when you eat the beans, this is beans. It's really lovely.
Yeah,
that's how
you're enjoying
I am intentional when I'm cooking this. So I don't really look forward to eating people's beans out there because you're not intentional. I'm intentional.
Yeah.
So that when you eat beans, you will love it. Yeah. Now, however, because the back is made from fiber, so it's made of complex polysaccharides. So digesting it will be hard because no human has the enzyme to break down the bonds that is responsible for that complex carbohydrate polysaccharides. So that's why it's expected, it's encouraged, and it's recommended to wash the back of the beans as though you want to do bean cake, bean porridge, bean bread. Some people call it bread. Some people in another part of the world they call akara. Some people call it bean cake with what they call moi moi. You see how you remove the back. Why? You are pre-digesting it for that child. Because if you go through the digestive process and when it gets out of your anal cavity and you look at it, you may sometimes see the back in there because it just didn't digest because it's complex. How much a child? That's why you take it out to help them pre-digest it. So you have to be intentional in, even though you are making them eat the same food that you are eating at the age time, because it cannot be from 6 months, at the 1 year plus-ish, then to adults, you just try to deprive yourself certain privileges that you would like. This will take so much time. Now, kitchen is now easy anyways because they make a lot of pressure pots and all the many things just to make cooking more, not so lengthy. And then you get things done. So mothers have to eat variety of meals during pregnancy. When to introduce it matters. Remember I talked about taste introduction during 0 to 6 months where you just use your clean hand to initiate tests and then start gradually 6 to 7 months mashy, 8 to 12 months putting chunks, 1 year make it more whole, which is more adultish, and then introduce new food 3 to 7 days interval. Why? Because that's when you will know what they're allergic to. I remember I talked about oral tolerance. So, for example, you know that this milk, this child collects the milk because you know that 0 to 6 months, the reason for this complementary feeding as a whole, besides just transiting to adulthood, is that during their energy needs increases. So, take for example, 670 kilocalories is what they need in 0 to 6 months period, which the breast milk can successfully meet. However, after it's 6 to 1 year, they need an additional 230. That is why you add service solids. Then when you come again to the 1 year and above period, they need more energy. That's why you're increasing the kind of food they're eating. So it's intentional. It's not just because the baby can walk, the baby can talk. No. It's intentional. You're meeting their growing needs. So you introduce. So if you know this milk, this child already accepted this milk. So you decided to do a pap or a gooey something, a mash. Milk has been accepted. So now you add the pap. The pap. 3 days, watch. Was there a change in breath? Or did anything come out of the skin? Because what you should know is, because of their oral tolerance that is very immature, still developing, immunity is also developing. Most times, everything taken will be seen as foreign, even though it's food for them. It will be seen as foreign to them. So it's now later, the body will now, that's why it's 3 to 7 days, will now find antibody. Oh, this is good for me. Oh, this is good for me. That's why you're watching that to see, did the breath change? Did something come up of the skin? Did the hair coil up in a certain way? You have to watch. So when you see that it's fine, okay, let me put in some bananas into this thing. So if something changes, is this banana added? That because you have just done elimination from those two that you used, milk, pap, bananas. So that you don't do all at once, because you will not say, think he doesn't eat pawpaw, he doesn't eat avocado, he doesn't eat bananas, he doesn't eat, and the list goes on, because you lumped all together. That's why introduction of new food is give some 3 to 7 days window period so that the mother can also know what they accept truly by taste, what their system accepts by internal, and then that's one of the beautiful ways to try to avoid them being allergic to certain things in future. However, some of these allergies can also be genetic. So no matter how you try to do the 3 to 7 days period, some genes will just, because of you are from this particular lineage and genetic receptor, you will just be allergic to it.
Okay.
So you can also let someone else feed them. Remember, I talked about it. It's not alone. You can't do it alone. Use loving words, nickname food to lure them to feeding. Sometimes during the earlier point of feeding, you may feel like feeding time is playtime. We know, but sometimes later on it will become feeding time indeed. It's a gradual process. You can't just start hashing. Allow them, play with them, even if it means, until they get them to eat their food. Remember, I said use colorful utensils, their sights. I told you about the colors that stand out for them. Blend nutrient-dense foods together. Remember, I told you it's quality over quantity. So nutrient-dense meals, you put them into one of their favorite meals that you have identified, such as banana, milk, avocado, carrot, etc. Because one, again, is, we have different parts of the tongue, sweet, umami, bitter, sour. At best, the sweet is already formed amongst other parts. If you are not one that cooks your meal, you buy it off shelf, then please look at the nutritional label so that you can know, is there protein in there? Is there iron in there? Is there DHA, omega-3, because they need it for their brain cognition is growing. How do they interact with humans? How do they interact with their peers? How do they interact with things, objects? That's your brain capacity is working. That's what omega-3, the fatty acids, do for them. So when you do this, then you can now, I know your post talked about just add milk, just add water. For me, every family is in a different point in their life, in their financial stability period, because I recall when I was taking care of grassroots people, meaning low socioeconomic strata, just add water was our go-to because it's already complete. They have water, they can access to it, good clean water. And with this sachet, meaning something that is small, you can meet 50% of your need, and then you have curbed the risk of malnutrition. So it depends on the family need. Yes, some people may just want just add milk so that I can continue with the milk I'm giving my child. But another person, that means they don't have it, so they would rather prefer just add water. That means it's a complete meal. So please, wherever you are financially, is what you will go in. But again, remember, be patient with them and commit the child to God.
Okay. Well, you've said a lot there, you've given a lot of useful points and tips, and all I heard was don't just introduce everything at once, but step by step. And finally, a lot of moms and dads are feeling the pressure. It's not easy. I mean, first-time moms and dads, first-time parents. I explained a couple of mine, and I have so much more that I didn't know.
Know that you are not alone. Ask for help. And the beauty about the help now is that at the tip of your fingers, meaning Instagram, social media, internet, your cousins, your friend, it could be physical help looking at you. Just know that, follow. There are so many tools now just because you are not alone. And I mean, those days people try to go hide their frustration. Now, they express it and resolve it. So don't just ask for help for where they just express it without resolution in sight. Secondly, seek support groups. There are several support groups out there that you can help in this whole parental journey. Even when your child is now 5 years, 6 years, hey, parents are parents till we are being called home by the Father, meaning God. You will always be worried over your child. So seek support groups that are age relevant to what you are currently going through. So that if you are in the 0 to 6 months phase, lactation consultants, mom group, mom to me, they're there They are different. If it's a 6 months to 2 months, 2 years window, you seek don't go that your need is 6 to 12 months, you are now in 0 to 6 months. You are doing yourself a disservice. Seek support group. And lastly, be anxious for nothing. Let your Father, God, know how you feel. And you need help. And He is a loving Father. Regardless of who you serve, that person is a loving Father. Because I don't see why you serve someone that doesn't love you. Yeah. And He will send you the help that you require. That's my clear.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. This has been so much to take in, and honestly, I have so many follow-up questions, and I believe maybe some moms or dads watching might have follow-up questions. In that regard, is there any way anybody can reach out to you or contact you, and how can they do that?
Okay, they can do that through my LinkedIn, and then when I get there from there, because sometimes why we start that from that platform is we assess readiness, we assess seriousness, so that you don't have to get what we call spam email.
Yeah.
Because the person is not necessarily really
on serious people. Yeah.
So we'll start with the LinkedIn platform. So you can give them my name and last name on my LinkedIn page. That's exactly what it is. And then just say you were on this platform, New Mom Forum. And then once you say that, I already know what you watched, and then you ask a question from there. Then it depends on how much we progress, and then we can now make it more informal through other platforms.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Miriam. It feels so weird calling you Miriam, but thank you. I really appreciate you. I love you for doing this, taking your time out to share your expert knowledge. It's obvious that you're very passionate about this, and I wish you more grace, and maybe we'll have another session, maybe if more topics come up, but definitely we will. Thank you so much, and
thank you.
See you around.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you to our amazing guest for such relatable and encouraging tips. If this helped you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and leave a comment for more tips to make your mom life with your young child smooth. See you next time on a New Mom Forum, also known as in NMF. God bless and bye-bye.